Welcome back. I am Sarah Mackenzie. I read as Sora for Sora the Intuitive, Sora Sky Messages. And last week for our tarot deck review, we looked at the Antique Anatomy Tarot deck. So we are going to use that for this week's Pick a Pile. While I am shuffling, I'm going to thank you for sharing, liking, commenting, subscribing, all of that. If you are interested in a personal reading, please check out my website to book or see where I'm going to be if you're in the Pittsburgh area, or email me. I will not contact you, and the only time you'll hear from me is through social media or if you're signed up for my newsletter, unless you contact me. The way the pick-a-piles work, so we put out 3 piles of 3. You can take a breath or pause it to see which one you are drawn to, and then I put the times for each reading in the description so you can just skip to that chapter and listen to your reading. These are general, so if you don't feel drawn to any pile, you can also check out the readings for the collective playlist, or one of the Zodiac playlists. If you like videos like this and you want them 2 or 3 days early, or you want more like them, bonus content, discounts, and various other things, you can head over to the Patreon. And we are getting started. All right. That's pile number 1. Pile number 2. And pile number 3. Take a deep breath, pause it, whatever you need to do, and decide if you would like pile 1, 2, or 3. And I'm going to start with 1. I'll see you. We have the 10 of Elixirs, or the 10 of Cups, the 9 of Blades, or the 9 of Swords, and the Ace of Elixirs, or Ace of Cups. This is really interesting because you have the 10 of Cups, which is the happy endings card. You can see their potions or elixirs have names like happiness elixir, passion elixir, calming elixir, harmony, wisdom. They're all very positive, very happy things, and speak to getting to somewhere you wanted to be. Now, being that it is the cup suit and we are looking at emotions and relationships, this is usually things like leveling up a relationship. It's often seen as a card indicating marriage or engagement. It can be reaching a goal in your small business, because that tends to be a more emotional kind of work. And it's such a happy card. And then it's followed by the card of anxiety. The 9 of Blades, or the 9 of Swords, often speaks to things like nightmares, anxiety, and while it can feel very disruptive, especially after such a calm, happy card, it actually makes a lot of sense. This card shows up not when things are going to go wrong, but when we get in our head worrying about things going wrong. And this is actually very common when you have worked for something so long and so hard, and you're like, okay, now that I've got it, how do I hold on to it? So this card is mostly just there to tell you not to worry. It is the card of worry, but that is because it is usually the state of mind you come into. So the beginning of this feels like very good news and reaching a place you want to be. But when you start to feel that doubt and that nervousness, that anxiety come in, please take a moment to remember that while that's perfectly natural, it doesn't mean that it's real. And give yourself a break. We have that with the Ace of Cups, so this, or the Ace of Elixirs, which is the beginning of the cup suit. And it is the card of my cup runneth over. It is a card of happiness. But it's the beginning. So sometimes this speaks to new relationships, new people coming in. Depending on the cards around it, sometimes it speaks to things like having children. With the 10, it does say that, like, having reached that point, now you can do more with it. So if this is a relationship, that can be, or if it's the leveling up of a relationship, it can be the beginnings of those new stages and the honeymoon period, the fluttery period. If it is like a business goal or something like a hobby, something you've been working hard towards that is more personal, it can be enjoying this new level of this feeling, but it is also very much starting the cycle over. So it is, look how far you've come, now keep going. But all in all, it should be a very wonderful, happy week if you can keep those nerves under control. Good luck. Moving on to pile number 2. We have the 6 of Elixirs, or the 6 of Cups, the Page of Rods, or the Page of Wands, and the Magician. So this is interesting because the 6 of Cups is very much about looking back, while the Magician is more about looking forward. And we have it kind of in this past, present, future order. It's not meant to be past, present, future, but you have it in that sort of, in the beginning, or in the next few days, whenever you really get to watch this. This is looking back. And it's looking back fondly. The only thing that I mention of concern with the 6 of Cups is getting stuck in the past. Nostalgia can be a really nice thing if it's driving us forward, and reminding us of our foundation, but it can hold us back if we are trying to recreate or go back to something that's no longer there. But I do like to see this card as more of remembering the good things and finding those good memories and letting them remind you of your foundation and your support system, and using it as the basis to do more, especially when we have it with this page. The pages are the youngest of their suits in terms of court cards. They are youthful and curious and imaginative and excited and just ready to go and look for things. They are also messengers, but here I'm focusing more on that idea of curiosity and exploration. Now with the rods, that is the wands, that is vision, ambition. So when this page shows up, it's often about finding what drives you. With the 6 and with the pages being messengers, it can be some sort of information coming from someone you haven't seen in a while, coming from someone that sort of reminds you of where you come from and the things that you love, so that you can get back into that exploration and curiosity and find things that you get really excited about and start putting together these goals and these passions and these visions, kind of narrowing down or expanding what you want to see in your life, what you want to have in your life. And that rolls perfectly into the Magician, which is the card that asks you what you want your life to look like. The Magician wants you to have a clear picture of what you want to see, what you want to be, what you want to be doing, so that you can take the right path, so you can make the right choices when they appear. So I love this because it's kind of an idea of getting back to who you are so that you can be who you want to be. You can be where you want to be and be doing what you want to be. Moving on to file number 3. We have the Star, the Knight of Elixirs, or the Knight of Cups, and the Emperor. Normally, I wouldn't say this, but this feels like a very romantic type of message. The Star is a card of hope, and it is not in itself inherently romantic at all. It is a card of blessings coming in after disaster. It is a card of having hope after you've lost things, after your world has been shaken up, and it is that calm time, that clear space between things where things have fallen apart and now you are looking forward to things, but it's that kind of hopeful, optimistic moment in between. And then we have the Knight of Cups, which is usually known as the romantic of the tarot, but that has more to do with rose-colored glasses than it does romance. But here, this just feels very much like the ending of a relationship or some sort of rocky romantic beginnings. And having that all be behind you so that you can come into something more beautiful and more exciting. The Knight of Cups does ask you to give yourself that same kind of optimistic view, and that same look of looking at the bright side and seeing who you are for the good parts. And then we come to the Emperor, which is a card of taking action. And usually it's more being in charge, leadership, leading by example. But in this case, it really feels like stepping forward into something better. So if you have recently been in a relationship or have had something end, this is asking you to sort of pursue it. And it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, but that is very much the vibe I'm getting here, is that it is time to start looking for something better. Good luck.